Hi, Dr. Mindy Curry here. I'm a naturopath based in Portland, Oregon. I do house calls in the greater Portland area and have a small office in Milwaukee. And I'm here today to talk to you about passion flower. These are the vines back that way up on my fence. It's a very beautiful herb. It's a very wonderful medicinal powers. I hope you join me and we'll go and harvest some of that and make some medicine. And here I am again, right a lot closer to this vine, and this is a perennial climbing vine native to South America. It was grown by the Aztecs, the Incas, other South American tribes for thousands of years. And here we are with the blue passion flower. Now I'm going to introduce you to two kinds of passion flowers today. This first one is the common passion flower, and this is probably the one you're going to see most around and about here in the USA. It's a really common ornamental, and it's often you'll see it used as a picture in descriptions about passion flowers and blogs and websites. It is a little tricky though, because although this is the common passion flower, it's not necessarily the one that we think of medicinally. This one is passiflora cerulea, and it's a native to South America, although it's now common all over the world, like I said. We usually think of passiflora incarnata as the one with medicinal uses mostly, but the blue passion flower also has a lot of traditional uses in South America as medicine, and it actually has a growing amount of research on its medicinal uses too. There is some big differences to using this versus using passion flower incarnata, and I'll talk about that. But in South America, this blue passion flower is often used for pathologies associated with the digestive tract. I'm going to tell you a little bit of research here, kind of interesting on this guy. So one study in 2016 in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology tested an extract of blue passion flower on rats with acetic acid-induced colitis, and they found that passion flower treated these rats and they healed faster than the controls. And they concluded that P. cerulea showed anti-inflammatory, anti-diuretic, or diarrheal, and spasmolytic activities in this rat model. Other studies on blue passion flower show it contains the flavone chrysin, which has been commercially extracted and used by bodybuilders and athletes as an aromatase inhibitor. Chrysin is another thing that's been found in the blue passion flower specifically, and it's been tested in rat models and found to have anti-anxiolytic effects. And other studies show it inhibits breast cancers, thyroid and human prostate cancer cell growth. It's all inhibited by this chrysin. Another study showed that this chrysin has attaches to benzodiazepine receptors, so it does have use possibly for withdrawals in that regard. Another study showed antifungal activity. Another one showed anticonvulsant properties in a clonic seizure PTZ model, suggesting use also for absent seizures. So while this is not traditionally considered our medicinal passion flower in Western herbalism, it does seem to have its uses, and the problem being that it also has in the leaves, these leaves here are known to contain cyanogenic glycosides, which can liberate a hydrogen cyanide when activated by enzymes. So although what's interesting is that the flower doesn't seem to contain those same things, nor does the fruit. So it has an edible fruit, which is not very tasty. So because the leaves have this cyanogenic glycosides in it, we tend to use just the flower or the fruit when we use the blue passion flower. It has an edible fruit that's not very tasty, but has been used traditionally for anxiety and sedative effects. And I guess it has a somewhat blackberry flavor when cooked. especially often used with other fruits and in like a juice, or made into a kind of a blackberry substitute in cooking. The unripe fruits tend to be cooked, where the ripe fruits can be made into a drink. The flowers are also made into a syrup traditionally, a variety of syrups and juices. And teas, the flower is mostly used as a tea, and that's used to heal stomach ulcers and GI problems and to calm the nerves. Basically, you want to place that flower in a cup in boiling water and give it a good long infusion time. And don't take a large quantity for long term. Research does show many of the same effects as the passion flower incarnata, but this one you got to be a little bit more gentle with. So yeah, these fresh leaves may be toxic. Interestingly enough, when these leaves are boiled, the poisonous toxic part will just boil away. So not extremely poisonous, but if you're trying to use these medicinally, probably want to use the right one. So either use just the flower on this one, or be safe and stick with the passion flower incarnata. We'll see in just a moment. And now I'm here in the herb garden, and I'm going to show you a different kind of passion flower. This is passion flower incarnata, passiflora incarnata. And this one is somewhat different, but this is the one that is most used for medicinal purposes. And in this case, we use the whole plant, the whole aerial parts of the plant, as they are less toxic. And this one you can see has some beautiful maypops on it, has its fruit growing there. Not a terribly delicious fruit, but definitely can be used as well. But take a look at the differences here. You've got basically purple. Purple and a little bit more frilly around the middle. But other than that, the plant looks much the same. Very climby vine kind of a thing. So for this, basically, we cut the aerial parts off. I'm going to take a little bit of each. And that's what we'll be making the medicine out of the passiflora incarnata. So now that you've seen the difference with the passiflora incarnata, I'm just going to talk a little bit about passion flowers' uses in general. Very, very strikingly beautiful flower with a very unique form. And in fact, there's all sorts of interesting mythology and symbology around it. This one here has been considered to be a representation of the crucifixion of Christ. And if you're into that kind of thing, see the 10 petals and sepals are said to represent the 10 disciples that were present at the crucifixion. The 3 stigma there at the top, those little guys, those are representing the 3 nails in the cross, where the 5 antlers denote 5 wounds of Jesus. The tendrils and were considered the whips he was beaten with, and the filaments and hairs are considered to be the crown of thorns. So that's kind of interesting. Not sure how much of that I find to be just coincidence, but it's a beautiful, beautiful little myth. Personally, I'm very, very attracted to these beautiful purple flowers. They're odd little extra bits. My favorite use for passion flower, also called passiflora. By the way, there's over 600 species, and a lot of them have very different colors. They're really beautiful. It could be reds, purples, whites, just all sorts of wonderful colors, spots. Well, my favorite use is for anxiety, reducing anxiety, because the passion flower here, it increases GABA, which is a relaxing neurotransmitter. Basically, this helps relax overactive brain cell activity, and that's really great when combined with other nervines such as St. John's wort or valerian root. Another great use is to reduce insomnia. It's really good in a sleep formula. It's a mild sedative and has few side effects. This is also probably in part to the GABA relaxation, but also the plant has very strong anti-inflammatory effects. A lot of times if you're really inflamed, you just can't sleep right. Isn't this a beautiful plant? Just look at these little tendrils here. They grab a hold of everything. The fence, the plants. They had a bit of a fight with the grapevine up there too, which was, well, I was the decider in that battle. Let's just put it that way. So passion flower is also really helpful for menopause symptoms and even hot flashes. When we age, our hormones start to decline and we get lower GABA levels after menopause. And this can kind of make us feel anxious and depressed. Well, passion flower raises those GABA levels up. There's also alkaloids in the passion flower that may block monoamine oxidase, which is kind of a similar action to antidepressants that are pharmaceutical. One study found that it did help prevent hot flashes in pre- and postmenopausal women. Passion flower is also really helpful in dealing with symptoms of ADHD. That hyperactivity is really benefited by an increase of GABA, which then reduces the activity of some of the brain cells that are causing this overactive desire. It's also been studied for blood pressure lowering effects. The skin of the fruit has been studied to reduce insulin levels in type 2 diabetes. It also is very helpful for reducing involuntary muscle contractions and spasms, and has been used very well for gastrointestinal spasms, especially when related to anxiety, when you get a really nervous stomach. So this is also great for easing withdrawal symptoms. Possibly could be really helpful for smokers and those trying to reduce opiate dependence. Be used in part of a formula, a variety of other things for that, but just a great tool in the toolbox. Passion flower's range of benefits come largely from its strong anti-inflammatory effects as well as the increase in GABA production. As with other herbs, there are many other beneficial constituents that are also found in there. There's flavonoids, there's all this chlorophyll, you can see it's very green. So I would suggest that you plant one of these in your sunny yard and grow your own medicine for years to come. Okay, we're back in the kitchen and I've got my clippings here of the passiflora incarnata. You can see that just a little bit out of the sun and that thing is closed up. These flowers open and close magically every day. Like here's one of the blue passion flowers. If you leave that sitting on the counter very long, it's going to just close up, just like that one did. And you can see it in the morning when they open up. You can almost watch them open. It's very beautiful. But in any case, back to here, passiflora incarnata. We're going to process this into a medicinal tincture and dry a little bit for tea. So this is the whole plant. Above ground parts can be used. I'm going to take off these maypops right now. Not going to make those into tea, they're just so big. But I do want to cut one open. Oop, it popped. You don't see much in this yet. Very immature. But you do get a pop. Those can be used when they're ripe and orange. Those were a little young, but I wanted to show you what they kind of look like. Normally they'll have a kind of a gelatinous seed goo on the inside. Oh, they're all very immature, very green. Too soon. In any case, let's get to the trimming. We're just going to trim these parts off of the big stem. That's the flowers, the leaves, the tendrils. And smaller stems are fine too. And I'm just going to chop that up. even the flower. And do the flower nice and fine, since it's a bit thicker than some of these leaves are. And cross-cut that, get it to a finer size. And now we basically have a bunch of cut up passion flower leaves there. We can stuff some of these in a jar. Make it nice and, well, get it pretty full. To where you can kind of push on it, and it gives a little bit of resistance. I'm going to add just some 80 proof vodka to that. Make a nice tincture. I'm going to put this in a cool, dark place for a couple of weeks at least. It's preferable if you mix it up every day. But in a couple of weeks that'll be ready to go. You can drain off the liquid and you'll have yourself a passion flower tincture. You can take that by the teaspoonful. It's a nice sedative, anti-anxiolytic, and for all those other purposes I already discussed. The rest here, it's not very much this time. The rest here, I'm just going to dry on a little drying rack, and I'll use that in teas later on. Now over here we've got that blue passion flower that I collected from the vine, and what we're going to do with that, we're going to take it over, we're going to put it in a pot of boiling water. Get that water up boiling. Then I'm going to put a lid on it, reduce the heat, and let that just kind of infuse for a good half an hour to get nice and medicinal. And there you have it. That's all about passion flower. If you're going to be using the common passion flower, make sure you make a tea out of it and boil it. But if you're using the regular medicinal passion flower incarnata, you can make a tincture, you can make a tea, you can use the fruit when it's ripe. This is not ripe fruit. I hope you guys got some interesting ideas on how to incorporate passion flower in your life. And check out my other videos on the YouTube. And check out my website, passionforhealingnaturopathic.com. If you're in the Portland area, give me a call. We'll see what we can find in your garden. And that's it. That's how you make a passion flower tincture, and chop it up and get ready to dry it for teas as well. And Dr. Mindy Curry, naturopath out of Portland. And while it's great to make your own medicines at home, if you're having some serious medical issues, you probably need to seek help either from a trained herbalist or a naturopathic doctor, or even conventional doctors if that's what you're into. But please use your medicine wisely, and don't put off getting checked out when that's what you really need. And have a great day.